What's up, guys? We have survived another offseason. I am so excited to have football back. It's not real football, it's just preseason football, but it's finally coming back. We're only weeks away. Hall of Fame game is literally next week, so I have to get my way too early before even preseason, preseason NFL tier list. All right, we have 9 tiers here. All 32 teams are ranked. It's kind of a tough little ranking here. Some teams I think have the potential to be better than other ones, but we're just going to start it off here. So at the top, tier 1, I have the defending champions. All right, Seattle Seahawks, they deserve to at least get their flowers through the offseason. At least until week 1, they should be at the top of every single tier list. It is a 2026 NFL tier list, but you got to give them their flowers at least through the offseason, right? Right. They're still going to be loaded next year. I still expect them to be great, to have a great chance and opportunity to make a run back to defend their title in the next season. But then we get to tier 2, where we had the Super Bowl favorites. Everybody's Super Bowl favorites. Rams made some crazy moves. Drafted Ty Simpson. Not that he's relevant to this year, but that was pretty crazy. They got Myles Garrett, wild. Traded Jared Verse, their young and upcoming talent, who I think is going to be fantastic. I think he very well has the potential to be a Myles Garrett, but he's not Myles Garrett right now, and Matt Stafford's old, so they got to win now, and they are so loaded offensively, defensively. Far and away the Super Bowl favorites, everyone's favorite to make the Super Bowl next year. Don't have much else to say about the Los Angeles Rams. Then we have tier 3. I expect dominance. Got the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. So, little bit of a mix up. Both teams fired their coach, but they still have amazing rosters, amazing quarterbacks. There's a lot of questions about Lamar, but I'm not willing to question him quite yet. I still think he's very capable of going into that NFL MVP form that he's had over the past few years. Not to mention, a lot of the knocking on him has been his reduced rushing, but dude has one of the highest passer ratings of all time. I have no doubt in him as a passer, as a quarterback. I do think that he's going to have some better longevity than your typical mobile running kind of quarterback. And then we have the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, they improved their receiver. That was their biggest weakness last year. They got DJ Moore. I still think DJ Moore is solid, just couldn't be utilized right in Chicago. But I think Josh Allen, we've seen him with Stephon Diggs. If you can get him a guy like DJ Moore, like Stephon Diggs, he can really click with him. They can really light it up. I expect another MVP style season from Josh Allen. And I think Joe Brady, ever since the LSU days, I've been a big Joe Brady fan. I think Joe Brady's going to be a great head coach. Whether or not he's going to fix the problems that Buffalo's had the past 8 years under Sean McDermott, I'm not so quite sure. But I still expect him to continue their regular season dominance, just as the Ravens had over these past 8 years, 7 years, whatever it is. All right, and then tier 4, it's the I have some questions tier. Any of these teams are capable of making the Super Bowl. Any of these teams are capable of doing great things, and also they're capable of just completely flopping and possibly even missing the playoffs. So the I have some questions. New England Patriots. It was a little bit of a sus run. They were a great team, no doubt, no doubt. Were they the second best team in the NFL last year? I'm not quite so sure. Super Bowl runner-up got blown out by the Seahawks. Didn't really make a whole lot of moves. Didn't really do anything to really improve. They have a really young core, so I can't blame them. Just wanting to elevate Drake May. Now, whether or not Drake May can sustain what he did last year, that's kind of my biggest question. There's a little bit of controversy in the air with the whole Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel. We'll see what kind of distractions the New England Patriots have. I 100% still expect them to be a solid 9-10 win season, squeeze into the wild card, but I still have them up here out of respect for their Super Bowl run last year, and I think that they do have the capabilities to be able to make another late playoff push. Next, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. Still a completely loaded roster. I mean, they are just loaded top to bottom. My question is, can they fix this weird toxicity, lack of morale thing? I mean, they sold A.J. Brown for a bag of cookies, basically. Whether or not that's going to bite them in the ass, whether or not Jalen Hurts is going to be able to improve as a passer without him, I'm not quite so sure. Saquon only gets older and older as each year goes on. I 100% expect them to make the playoffs at the very least, but still some serious questions about the morale of that team. Is Nick Sirianni that guy? He's definitely not been able to keep a top on all the huge personalities that the Eagles have, so we'll certainly see. Then we have the Kansas City Chiefs. Very obvious question. Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL at the end of the year. Even before he tore his ACL, they weren't going to make the playoffs regardless. With Patrick Mahomes, that is very concerning. Travis Kelsey, he stays another year, but he's just another year older. Same with Chris Jones. Chris Jones is fantastic, but he is starting to get there. We are going to start seeing some of that older age on them. So I'm really curious what the Chiefs will do. I have no doubt that Pat Mahomes will be 100% at some point during the season. Whether or not that's week one or not, I don't know. Chiefs also have a pretty tough division. You got the Broncos and the Chargers, who are looking very competitive this year. They're gonna have to deal with that. Purely, they're up here out of respect for Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes because what they could do. But out of these tiers, these would be the ones that I would expect to probably have the most likely fall in the tiers as the season goes on. And then we have the Houston Texans. I have some questions about CJ Stroud. That defense is amazing. I expect it to be all pro again next year. They'll have one of the best defenses. It carried them last year. CJ Stroud threw an absolute stinker in the playoffs. There are some serious questions about whether he can be that franchise quarterback. This is definitely a prove it year. I would expect his seat to get a little bit hot. It's getting hot. If he does not have at least an game manager type year, we might be seeing CJ Stroud out of Houston. And then finally, I have the Chargers. Chargers are pretty loaded. They're pretty stacked. I love their coach. Justin Herbert is great. But can they not choke? That is the real question. They just have this like choking mentality. I don't even know how to describe it. Ever since that Jags game, Herbert absolutely sucked. Every time they get in the playoffs, he's just not that great. What it is it a mentality? Is it something that Harbaugh can fix with the whole entire team? Is it just organization plague for them to be chokers? I mean, they were with the Phillip Rivers days. This is a long tenure of choking. So that's really my only question with them. I think they have a fantastic roster. I think they have a great opportunity. We're just going to see what they can do. Can they break that curse that they've been having? All right, and then on to tier 5. I called this one the tough division. Honestly, a lot of these teams I have about equal in terms of talent and expectations as tier 4. But for them, it's just really tough division. I had to knock them down a little bit more. So I have the San Francisco 49ers, another team that's just getting older and older. You have a lot of injury plague through that team, whether or not it's a given 50-50 shot whether their team is going to be healthy enough to make the playoffs or not. I mean, they go 4-12 and 12-4, or what, 5-12, 12-5, just based off of injuries. I mean, that's just how it goes. They did fantastic, outperformed like crazy last year despite all the injuries. Maybe this will be their healthy year. Maybe they can be fantastic, but that division is so tough. You have the Seahawks, defending champions, and then you have the Rams, everyone's Super Bowl favorite. Brutal. Cardinals, don't really got to talk about them, but that's just brutal, man. That's just brutal. Then you have the Detroit Lions in that NFC North. Everyone knows how tough the NFC North is. I have 3 NFC North teams on this list right here. I mean, it's tough. It's tough. I think that the Lions have the ability to be dominant once again. Another 15-2 season like a couple years ago. But they're coming off of coming last in the division. Fantastic offense. I think Dan Campbell, I still love Dan Campbell, even if he's much more of a motivator and players coach, that kind of guy. Not really a scheme guy. Definitely want to see him take off the offensive reins, not the play calling and everything else. But they're still loaded. They have a great roster. Injury plagued again. Whether or not they can avoid that, we shall certainly see. But Lions. Then we have the Packers. Kind of the same situation. Really tough division. Their young roster has gotten a little bit older, a little bit more experience. Micah Parsons not going to be ready for week 1, but he will be back in time to at least make a difference for the Packers. So they can absolutely make a late push for the playoffs. I still think they can be a great team. Jordan Love, not all in on Jordan Love. I think he's certainly an NFL quarterback. I think he is a top 15 quarterback. But just a lot of inconsistency with him, and they're in that tough division, so got them right there. Then I have the Broncos. Honestly, I was really wanting to put the Broncos in the I have some questions tier. I just couldn't do it. I just feel like they're probably going to flop. That defense was stellar. Whether or not they can maintain that stellar defense, we shall certainly see. Still a lot of questions at the running back position. You still have a young guy in Bo Nix who has been a winner. He has played very serviceable. whether or not we can continue to build and help his game. It's not like the Broncos are loaded at receiver or running back to kind of help a young guy out. So it's not so much Bo Nix, it's more about kind of like his supporting cast on offense, whether or not that can help him grow as a quarterback. We'll certainly see. But for right now, I have him in tier 5 just because it's a really brutal division. You have the Chiefs. Chiefs, Broncos are the ones I would most likely switch, but like I said, Chiefs pedigree, they got to be up there. Then we have the Chicago Bears. This is an interesting logo, but let's just ignore that part. Chicago Bears, another one I could have put in the I have some questions, but I do not feel near as confident in these Bears. Their defense really just wasn't that good last year. They were really turnover opportunistic last year. That tends not to carry well. They also won a lot of comeback games, a lot of one-score games. That tends to not carry very well into the next season. I definitely expect a bit of a retrace from them, not to mention they're in that tough division, but I still got to give them some respect. Caleb Williams, and damn, I'm blanking on his name. Oh man, Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson. I do think both of them are great. Great pairing and everything else. It's just really the defense that's the biggest question. Not to mention their tough division, which is why they are in this tier. But they definitely scare me the worst. So I have them at the back of this tier 5. And then in tier 6, different year, same problems, same teams from last year. We've got Cincinnati Bengals and Dallas Cowboys. Same problems for the both of them. I'd say Bengals might have a little bit more problems. Just got rid of Hendrickson. They still don't have great protection for Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, he's a little bit injury prone. You got to give him some protection. They just haven't seemed to really been pushing too hard for that. And they still have a bunch of holes on defense. So their only way to win is the classic Saints. You got to blow them out. You got to score at least 35 to be able to win your games. And it's the same with the Cowboys. Two loaded offenses. Still a bunch of questions about defense. Ever since they traded Micah Parsons, they're still kind of living in that shadow. We will certainly see, although it does look like they might have finally found a running back. So maybe they can have a more solid, developed offense. They can at least help their defense with the run game. Dak can light it up. We know that. They have great receivers with George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, but we really need that run game to kind of help out their defense. So we'll see what they'll be able to do. But either way, different year, same problems. Great on offense, not so great on defense. And then in tier 7, this is my boomer bust tier. All right, this one is going to be a little controversial. We have the New Orleans Saints at the top of the tier. Yeah, you heard me right. Who dat baby at the top of the tier. Tyler Shuck, I genuinely believe this guy has all the capabilities. He's athletic. He's got a big arm. He's tall. Prototypical quarterback. He's been getting a lot of Josh Allen comparisons. I'm not going to say he's that athletic, but I'll take it. I'll take it. Really, really weak division. I could easily see them going as good as 12-5 with how terrible their schedule is, or they'll bust. They'll go 7-10 or whatever it is. But great opportunity for the Saints. We'll see what Shuck can do in year 2. They kept a lot of their same players. Losing Demario Davis, we'll have to see what that does to that defense that has been so great the past 5 years. But Saints, boomer bust, 12-5 or 7-10. We'll see. Same tier, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There's a lot more drama going on with the Bucs than with the Saints. It kind of drags them down a little bit. They're still the favorite to win the division. Baker Mayfield, he's still the best quarterback in the division, in my opinion, as of right now. They could light it on fire and offensively. Kind of the same thing that happened last year. They started super hot, they were booming, and then they busted. They busted all over their own faces. So Buccaneers, can you maintain what you had early in the season last year? Can Baker Mayfield be that gritty guy that just leads his team to be fantastic? We should certainly see. They kept a lot of their key players, losing Mike Evans. That's another big one. Vita Vea just requested a trade. I mean, I really don't know what's going to go on with the Buccaneers, but I still think they have the capabilities to boom or to bust. Not to mention NFC South is very sorry, so we shall certainly see. Then I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. This one's going to be controversial. I know any Jaguars fans that might happen to see this video are not going to like their position on the tier. Hear me out though. This is the boomer bust tier. I think all of these teams have the capability to go 12-5, to be one of the top best teams, or they're going to fall on their face and they're just not going to be very good. Jags, totally that team last year. They totally boomed. Trevor Lawrence, even though he didn't have that fantastic of a year, he was able to lead his squad. They lost Trevor Etienne. We're going to see how that goes. Travis Etienne. They lost Travis. We're going to see how that goes. It does seem like they have some good young running backs in there. They might be able to replace him fairly easily. But can they just build off of first-year head coach Liam Cohen? And is he actually the quarterback whisperer with Trevor Lawrence? We're certainly going to see. If he is, they boom. They'll fly up these tiers. If he's not, they'll come back to reality because I really don't think that they have really that fantastic of a roster. So I think there is a great opportunity for them to fall from the heights of last year. And then the Minnesota Vikings, this one's going to be controversial. They could either be really, really bad or really, really good. Kind of depends on Kevin O'Connell. Is he the quarterback whisperer? I think Kyler Murray is a great talent. I think he still has a lot of gas in the tank. I think that he could lead this team to a Sam Darnold kind of redemption, how they had with Sam Darnold. I could 100% see that. He's got all the tools to be able to do it. He's got Justin Jefferson on the sideline, for God's sakes. Their defense was incredible last year. There's a good recipe for it to happen. Quarterback, the most important position, is the biggest question. We're going to see, can Kyler Murray or JJ, can either one of those guys really lift this team and boom and be fantastic, or are they going to fall on their face, be last in the division, and just not be very good? And then finally in tier 7, boom or bust, we have the Indianapolis Colts. They boomed so hard early in the season, just like the Buccaneers last year, and then they collapsed. Daniel Jones got hurt. You can't really do much of it, but it was an Achilles tear, man. Achilles is rough. It's rough. We saw what happened to Aaron Rodgers. He was not himself the year after. It tends to be a very, very long recovery time. It's looking like he's going to play, but whether or not he's going to be playing at the level that he was the year before, I don't know. They still have a bunch of talent on the team. That offensive line is always nasty. Jonathan Taylor is still in his prime. There's there's great opportunity for boom. Can Daniel Jones come off of that injury? I got him at the back of tier 7 though, because I just believe that he's going to be a little hobbled. It's really tough to come back from that Achilles. So bottom of boom or bust, but they still have the potential to be one of the best teams in the NFL. That's why this tier is a little weird. It's a little weird. Some of you might be upset I have you so low, or I might have some teams a little high, like the Saints and the Bucks, or the Vikings. I don't know. I don't know, but this is the boomer bust tier. This is the tier that could really fluctuate this season. And then in tier 8, I have the wild card at best. I don't mean wild card because realistically in these NFC South teams, they have no chance of making the wild card without winning their division. I just mean wild card round. You're going to lose in the first round of the playoffs. And so that's the New York Giants at the beginning. Still very young with Jackson Dart. Can he stay healthy? Can he change his play style a little bit? He's a little bit too gritty and not big enough to be that gritty. You know what I mean? Baker Mayfield does it somehow, but he gets hurt. He just plays through it. Jackson Dart has to stay out of that blue tent. I do think that good old, God, all the Harbaughs, they just confuse the shit out of me. John Harbaugh. Thank you. John Harbaugh, I think he's going to lift this team. He's totally a culture builder. I think that he can fix the culture dumpster fire that the Giants have had for so many years. And I think Jackson Dart shows potential. He shows potential. He's just got to stay out of the blue tent. That defensive line is going to be super, super nasty. As again, I think Abdul Carter in his second year is going to really pop off and really show why he was touted as highly as he was by all those NFL scouts. So the Giants, they certainly are probably everyone's number one sleeper pick this year. But even if they are much better than they were last year, I still think it's going to be a wild card round loss. I just don't have a whole lot of faith in the offense and the offensive side of the ball. So we'll certainly see a lot of questions about receiver and running back. So. And then we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, wild card round at best. No Mike Tomlin. What the hell is this going to look like? Mike McCarthy is kind of like a Mike Tomlin replacement. I mean, he went 12-4, 12-4, 12-4 at the Cowboys, but never won anything. It reminds me of some guy that's coached Pittsburgh for the last 20 years. So I think we're going to see a lot of the same from the Steelers. They're just getting older as well. Their ceiling is definitely capped, but I do think that out of the boomer bust tier, they're probably going to end up being better than a lot of those teams once we see whether or not they boomed or bust. But I just can't see them getting really past the wild card. So that's why they're so far down, even though I really do feel like they probably should be a little bit higher. But just because they lack that boom potential, got to keep them right here. Aaron Rodgers last year, though, I'm definitely going to be watching that. I love Aaron Rodgers. Even with all his antics, and he might have ruined his legacy just a little bit, he's still one of the GOATs, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So what can he do in his last year? We shall see. I don't have high expectations, though. And then we have the Washington Commanders. kind of could have put him in tier 6, but that would have been too high for me. Jaden Daniels, can he bring back what he had his rookie year? Can he stay healthy? Can he lead this team that's really, really lacking in a lot of talent in a lot of places? That defense is awful. Wide receiver is still kind of capped at Terry McLaurin. Not sure how that's going to go. We're certainly going to see. But I just think that they would be a Jaden Daniels carried team. And so they're once again a wild card at best. You just can't be so one dimensional when you have such a terrible defense. And then the Carolina Panthers, wild card at best. Their really only hope is that the Saints and Bucks suck and that they can win the division at 8-9 again. Not a lot of faith in Bryce Young. Definitely on the hot seat going into the season. Even though he played serviceable, like solid game managery, I don't feel confident that he's going to be able to take his team to the next level. And I think it's going to take a pretty solid season for him to be able to keep his job. I think even if he repeats last year and he has a game manager type of season, I really don't think that's going to be enough. I still think he's going to be going to greener pastures somewhere else unless he really turns it up. And as you can see, I have them at the bottom, so I'm not really expecting that. But I'm not a Bryce Young hater at all. He's a fantastic kid. He's a great guy. So I really hope that he can take it to the next level. Even though he is in the division with my Saints, I still like the Panthers are my favorite of the least favorites of the division. So that's all I can say. And then the Falcons, this is only because maybe Tua can really turn it up. I think Tua gets a lot more hate than actually deserved. Tua turned the ball over, all the memes, all the concussions and everything else. Can he stay healthy? I think Penix's job is pretty much lost. I didn't like the Penix pick when they drafted him after signing Kirk Cousins. I still don't like Penix now. I think this is probably Tua's team. Just can Tua stay healthy and can he really return to his 2023 days in the prime of Mike McDaniel? I don't know. I don't know. And then tier 9, 2027 is our year. I got the Titans at the bottom. Just a lot of questions still. We don't even know if Brian Callahan is the guy. Cam Ward, I do think he shows a ton of potential. Even if he doesn't have a great year this year, I think they still give him the leash for a third year just because of how much potential he has. But still kind of rough. Still kind of rough everywhere. I don't expect the Titans to really be anything. It would be a Cam Ward breakout season is what would require the Titans to really even just make it to tier 8, wild card at best. But I think they have a bright future. I think that Cam Ward eventually in year 3, that might be his year. They can finally start building better pieces around him. I think the Titans are on a upward trajectory. So even though Titans fans, 2026 might not be your year, I think 2027 is your year. And then it's the same thing with the Raiders. It looks like Kirk Cousins is going to start the season for the Raiders. Um, that does not inspire confidence whatsoever. They didn't really make any super explosive, flashy moves as well. They're still the Raiders that they have been the past 15 years, 20 years even. So I just don't expect anything. I think Mendoza could be great. I don't think he's going to start immediately. He might not start until like week 6, or maybe he won't even start until the very end of the season. But I think with Mendoza, they also have a brighter future. It's looking a little bit up. I think the Crosby trade probably would have been the best for them because I think this is totally a rebuild year. You have Kirk Cousins starting, you have Mendoza learning, and then next year they could have had the draft capital to really make the move. But fell short, failed his physical, whatever the hell it was. It's kind of sketchy, but Raiders 2027 is your year. New York Jets 2027 is not your year. You're still poop. There's questions all over the place. Geno Smith, he might lead you to not be the bottom, but I mean, at this point, you want the number 1 pick. So whether he gives you the 5th overall pick or the 1st overall pick, not much of a difference. You're going to be bad. Same thing with the Browns. A lot of Shador defenders. They've not been liking the disrespect to Shador or the Browns, but they're the Browns. Shador, he's a 5th round pick. He was really, really rough last year. He's not really gifted all that much athletically. He's a pretty accurate passer. That's kind of his saving grace. Can the Browns give him the scheme to really be able to help him? I don't have any faith in the Browns organization. So it's not so much a knock on Shador as it is just on the Browns in general. But Shador definitely needed the right situation to thrive, and the Browns are not that. They are not. So I think we'll be seeing the Browns draft yet another quarterback next year, and they are on their 27th quarterback in the past 20 years, or whatever the hell the number is. Miami Dolphins, everyone's picked to be the worst team in the league. I don't think they're going to be the worst team in the league. I think they'll probably be the second worst team in the league. Um, Malik Willis, oh, I feel so bad for him. He's going to a gutted Dolphins. No Mike McDaniel, no Tyreek Hill. I mean, you got Devon Achane, but like, fuck, that sucks. I feel for him. I feel for him. I'm a big Malik Willis fan. I was a fan out of when he was coming out of Liberty. I really thought that he slid super far in the draft. I think he's shown great flashes. He's super athletic. I love that. I love that. But it's going to be rough. That team is gutted. That team is in 100% rebuild. I just hope that they have a tiny bit of patience for Malik Willis. Or maybe if it doesn't work this year, maybe he gets another shot. Because I like him. I like him. But Dolphins, you're terrible. This ain't your year. And lastly, for my worst team in the league currently, I have the Cardinals. They have no game plan for the future. Absolutely none. They got Jeremiah Love. He's not going to carry you like that. This is not 1990, okay? You have to have a quarterback. I think Jacoby Brissett is a little more disrespected than he should be. Not that he's like a top 15 quarterback, but he's like 25. I mean, he deserves to be a starter on a bad team, which he currently is. And they had all the contract fiasco. Um, I just don't like the Cardinals. It's not looking good for you. You're in the Jets, Browns, Dolphins territory. You're not going to have a good year. It's going to be pretty ugly. 2027 is probably not your year either. Look forward to 2028, maybe. But that's all the tiers right there. My 9 tiers. Just to remind you, the only reason Seattle is number 1 is out of respect for winning the Super Bowl last year. But either way, they're still going to be one of the best teams next year. But that is the tiers. I hope that you made it to the end of the episode. Let me know your thoughts. Who do I have way too high? What team am I disrespecting? If you're a fan of that team I'm disrespecting, I expect to be called a dumbass, and I welcome it. I would love some conversation. Get in the comments. If you did like the video, and then also subscribe. We're coming into football season. I'm going to be having a lot more videos, so appreciate you guys. Stick around for the next one. Y'all take care.